Hey everyone, welcome to part 9 in my tutorial on AvP mapping. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over how to add doors to your map. So we're going to need to have multiple copies of this riff file, so what I like to do is start to work with it in a separate folder, which I've created here. Now in this is the most recent build that I've done from part 8, which has added the track objects. The doors that we have are featured over here. So right here it says door 2, and then right here it says door 1. Now just as an aside, I did notice one thing as I was doing my preliminary testing and preparation for this, which was that I textured this incorrectly, so I'm just going to fix it right now. Pressed U on that tab for this poly, and then I'm just going to shift it over like that. Alright, so now it's going to look correct in the game. Okay. So now that we're actually going to start the door making process, the first thing we're going to do is we need to set a base module that the game is going to read things from. Very easy in regular mode, just click object. Well, first select what you want to set your base to be, and then just click here, object, and then set base module. Very simple. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we are going to split off the door from its frame. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work with door 1 first, this side, and finally the middle portion here. Clicked all those polygons. You can change it to wireframe mode to double check what you selected. When you have that done, miscellaneous, split object, as placed object, and then okay, it's going to give a default name, which is going to be split off from the module with the letter A after it. That's perfectly fine. So just remember what it names it to be, or names it as, or you can rename it yourself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this just slightly off of its frame. So I pressed F, pressed L, and I'm just going to move it the slightest bit off of the frame, like that. Okay? And then what we do after that is we are going to change it back to a module. So we made it a placed object so we can move it. And we're going to do the same thing with door number 2. Okay. Miscellaneous, split object as placed object. Okay. Door 2A is fine. Now that it's a placed object, you can move it in object placement mode. We're just going to move it the slightest bit off of the door frame. Okay, there we go. As you can see, you can barely tell that it's off of that. And then once again, in the default mode, we're going to change it back to a module. The reason for that is because the engine is kind of finicky with the vertices and the positions. So here's what we do next. Once we have that, this is the riff with the doors open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create another riff. This is when I'm working from door 1. And what we're going to do is we are going to close the door. We're going to set its position for being closed. Now, doors themselves are modules, so we need to change them into placed objects in order for us to move them, and then we have to convert them back to modules. That's why we're doing this process. A quick way to move things is to click it, and then once you have it selected, go to miscellaneous, and then snap to vertex, which is very helpful. And now that we've done this, we're going to save, select it again, make sure you have door 1A, change it back to a module. So now it's a module again. Once you've done that, we are going to save this riff as a ASC file, doors closed. And here, because I'm working with door 1 in the closed position, I'm writing as door 1. Okay, now that we're doing that, we are going to go over here This is the main riff that I'm working from. Go to Show Objects. Door 1 is what we're going to be working from, or what we're going to want to add the morphing data from. Go to Tools, Morph Shape, Add from ASC file, and then just double-click that. And now you can see after parentheses TX, which means it's textured. After that we have M, which means morphing data. We're going to save. And now we're going to do the same thing with door number 2. So we're going to take this, copy it, door 2, we're going to select this again and just do the exact same stuff. Placed, click it in object placement mode. You can drag it across if you want to, but the faster way and an easier way to set it very quickly and precisely is to do it like that. Save, exit, click it, make sure you have the right one selected, change it back to a module, write the ASC file. Here we go. Once again, we're going to open this up. Example, cancel all of that. Objects, door 2A, tools, morph shape, add. There we go. Okay, now if we've done this correctly, open it up again. This is the one that contains the morphing data. Let's pan over so we can see the door frames. Now if we do this right, in light sourcing mode, there's an option to close the doors. And you can see that you can close the doors and open them. Okay. We're going to be needing light mode in just a second. Couple of other things. These are modules now, so we need to connect them. Otherwise, they'll just be invisible. So remember the module linking that we had done before automatically? Well, we're going to do it manually here. Okay, so we're going to set every single module over here has to be connected to these doors so you can see them. So it's just going to take a minute. And then once you've done all that, now set it for the doors. So select the door and then link it to everything. All right, now that we have that, looks like everything should be connected. Oh, and I didn't connect this module to it. All right. Now that you've done that, we need to rebuild the lighting. So we go to light sourcing, doors, let's close them, and then we're going to save intensities for game. You know what? This is actually not something we can do yet. One last thing. In Intink, we're going to need to go to strategy mode. And now we have to select these and give them the strategy of being a door. These types of doors are considered vertical. And you can change the amount of time that it takes to open and to close right over here. They're also a number of different parameters and properties. You can change it so that it's a switch door, so that it's locked. But for right now, we're going to just test and make sure that the tracks work. And then later on, we can worry about setting up scenarios where they're locked at first and then they open up. All right. Looks like the closed position works. And okay, so if you're seeing it disappear, that's because it's in an unlinked, that's a module that's unlinked. Like this one over here is not linked to this. So I need to go back and change that. Okay, so very quickly, going to fix those up, and that way we'll be able to more properly test. Like this over here is not connected. This bit over here used to be connected to those. This here and here. Okay. Just double, triple check everything with these doors. How about this one? Sure. Okay. Once you've done that, gotta go back to light sourcing. Takes 2 seconds. Close the doors. Save intensities for the game. And let's go back. Okay, perfect. So now these doors have proper tracks. They open when you're in proximity to them. And that's how you create a door. There are multiple ways of creating door tracks. You can also do it. You can also create the morphing data in 3ds Max, but this is the way that I like to do it. So that concludes the beginner or all the basics you need to know to get started on creating a map. In the next tutorials, we're going to do some intermediate stages, but all the stuff that I've covered so far is stuff that I feel like will be helpful if you just want to make the, just the basics for a map. Nothing too complicated, nothing too complex. Just if you're starting out, these should help get you started. So hopefully this has all been helpful and interesting to watch. And if you want to continue, you can continue on with the next tutorials. So hopefully I'll see you there.